In IIT Mumbai, there was a project to detect a robotic project to detect mines in Maoist infested areas in the jungles of Chhattisgarh. So this was a project developed by students of IIT. It took long time, and even now I don't know the current scenario, but in our system there is no effective way to engage with the government to showcase such innovations which are coming from civil society. So we need to identify dual use technologies which can be developed by private industries that can be employed in warfare as well as in civilian or commercial applications. And drone is one thing that can be a low hanging fruit in that sense. First of all, thank you very much for having me. This is a very crucial topic, not just today, and in coming time, it would be more and more important. First thing, let me clear a few things. No nation can be 100% secure. That's the caveat we have. There is no such thing as 100% national security. National security threats and solutions are always evolving. How fast we prepare ourselves for new threats is all that matters. The security is apparent or it is perceived. Drones have an apparent component to it, surely. That's not at all a question. Its major component is perceived security, or simply we can say that drones also have huge psychological impact. And that is what makes drone warfare completely different game altogether. Now, coming to today's topic, drone warfare, challenges and opportunities. I consider drones or unmanned systems, maybe from ground or air or from the ocean, all important part of India's strategic tactical defense, as well as it should be a important part of India's economy as well. Drones are not new things in the sky per se. However, new supporting technologies such as artificial intelligence, development in batteries, small gas engines are are making drones part of military, commerce, and even terrorism industry. Why are they becoming so potent threat? That's the question. So let me give you a different analogy. Let me show you a picture. Now, if you say this is your adversary or this is the threat, you will say, all right, not a big deal. Let me change the picture for you. So now, when you see this locust swarm or locust storm, everything changes. Your psychology, your approach will be different, and impact of this kind of warfare will be completely different on human mind as well as for machines. Now that's the problem. Not just for human beings, also for machines. That this situation makes it a completely different game. Even machines get overwhelmed. So evolution in drones is a big threat if you don't know how to harness its potential. At the same time, saving yourself from its offensive challenges. Now, just take a brief look at the history of the drone warfare. At the peak of Cold War, drones like Firebee were used in Vietnam for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions, or ISR in short. Now, at that time, endurance or the ability of drone to remain in sky, which is an important factor in drone operations now, for Firebee, it was 75 minutes. Now, an individual can buy a drone which can have better endurance. This is a Chinese drone which can endure 3.8 hours in the sky and carry a payload of 10.3 kg, and this is available at the cost of 12,000 US dollars. So you just need to pay 10 lakhs, or in Pakistani rupees, it's 20 lakhs. That's the only difference. And for that, and with that investment, even a terrorist can have something to deploy a payload, a grenade, or a pressure fused ammunition. Now, modern military drones can remain in sky for long hours and perform tasks that a manned military aircraft can also do. Drones like Harop are designed to perform kamikaze. It can loiter over target for hours and provide intelligence before performing final offensive action. Modern drones are armed with sophisticated guided missiles. That is another advantage it has got. Besides, drone with ability to land and take off from surface vessels can be a real game changer for maritime environment as well. With the advancement of technology, unmanned systems have become an attractive option for short and limited conflict. Almost all countries, if we look at in the or they have it. Without the capacity to develop unmanned combat aerial vehicles or uh, or drones for short, domestically, countries have turned to China, Israel, now Turkey, and United States for its procurement. Now, American Predator drones like American Predator have been operational since 1995, which is considered as a modern drone. The United States has been using weaponized drones for almost 2 decades now. In 2000, the US Predator drone helped identify Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. However, it was not weaponized at that time for offensive action. As a result, the incident intensified development of weaponized or weapon carrying capacity of UAVs. Today, UAVs can carry even a sniper attack on an individual or a group of people. Just to give an example, uh, Iranian commander was killed by a American drone in a sniper attack. Now, drones like Harop, which is developed by Israeli aerospace industries, and then there are drones like Firefly. This is Harop, and this is a picture of Firefly drone developed by Rafael, which has also manufactured Iron Dome. You may have heard about the name recently because of the conflict which took place between Israel and Hamas. This simple drone, it is a tactical drone with 350 grams of warhead, can carry sniper roles in urban as well as open spaces while keeping its operator safe behind the cover. And this can be carried in a backpack because it is just 15 kg. Such loitering munitions can be a game changer in tactical and guerrilla warfare. This is especially important when we have front lines or we have battle points like left wing insurgency in terms of Maoism. We have terrorism in Kashmir. And along the India-China borders, these can be a game changer. Now, Israel is a major exporter of UAVs. It has sold Harpy drones, which is loitering drones meant to perform kamikaze strikes or suicide strikes to China in 1994 for around $55 million. And from 2005 to, let's say, 2013, if we look at, Israel has exported drones worth $4.6 billion to Europe, Asia, and America. Now, that's the size of military drone industry for one country. And that's the revenue a country can generate from drones export because everyone is buying drones. While United States and China export UAVs to almost 57 and 37 countries. Now that's the size of drone industries across the world. And I am just talking about military drone industry. I'm not touching on commercial or enterprise drones or recreational drones at all. India recently bought 50 Heron UAVs from Israel. India is also in the process of buying 30 MQ-9 Reapers from America for $3 billion. Our indigenous drone program, Rustam 2, is in the last, I would say, trial phase, and probably it will be ready for deployment soon. It's a medium altitude, long endurance combat drone, which is very useful. India is the top buyer of drones as our indigenous drones are in the development and testing phase. Even HAL, which is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, has also showcased its CATS system, which is Combat Air Teaming System. It is a combination of manned and unmanned aircrafts, along with high altitude drones that can be a real game changer. But again, this system is not yet deployable. It is in the testing phase. This system was showcased last year in 2020, I guess, by HAL in some exhibition, defense exhibition. Now we need to look at another factor. Drones, there are two factors I would like to focus on. Drones in conventional warfare or drones in conventional frontline, as well as drones in terrorism or drones in act of terrorism. Now, drones have been the choicest weapons for covert ISR operations, and it has been successfully used in frontline in Syria, Libya, and Nagorno-Karabakh, which is Azerbaijan and Armenia. And these three conflict points have changed the perception or military attitude towards drone completely. These events have been the technology demonstrator and best advertisement for Turkish drone industry. These events have propelled countries to integrate drones in their conventional war tactics. The United States used drones against technically weaker terrorist groups such as Haqqani Network or ISIS. These insurgent elements did not have or they don't have air defense network that a modern nation state would have. In this context, use of drones in Syria, Libya also to a certain extent, and Nagorno-Karabakh is a crucial factor on four parameters, that is cost, technology, firepower, and tactical edge in the battlefield. Operation Spring, if you look at Operation Springfield, which occurred in Syria earlier in 2020, Turkey deployed Bayraktar TB2 and satellite-linked Inca SUAVs against Syrian ground forces in Operation Spring Shield. In the operation, Turkey claimed its drone strike and artillery fires had eliminated more than 100 armored vehicles and artillery systems. This was the first major UAV offensive by one military against the another military in an operational theater, except Libya. Turkey used unmanned aircrafts for recon, targeting, aerial engagement, and destruction of enemies' air defenses and ground assets as well. The Turkish offensive has been largely carried out using drones, drone-launched missiles, and precision artillery strike with UAVs flying forward as an artillery spotter. In a sense, drones will fly forward, they will identify or they will gather intelligence of artilleries, and then later on Turkish forces can pound them. Intelligence provided by drones have enhanced precision of artillery strike against conventional military formations. Now, this is very similar to the only incident which comes to my mind is World War I, when air power was in a limited sense used in trench warfare, and it was a difficult situation. So, similar situation can occur because of drones. Turkey was also able to engage conventional air power with drones as UAVs flew in swarms to overwhelm and destroy Syrian air defense systems. Now, this is a multi-pronged tactical use of UAVs, and it provided Turkey with a decisive edge in the battle. It's not that Turkey did not lose anything. Turkish side lost 3 Anka-S drones that were shot down by Syrian air defenses and man-portable air defense systems. There were several videos posted on social media showed that appeared to be the wreckage of 3 Turkish Bayraktar and 1 Anka-S. In addition, there were probably few more Bayraktar TB2 and Anka-S shot down in Spring Shield. Now, losing 4 to probably 6 drones was a marginal cost against operational victory. Operation Spring Shield was the first live demonstration of Turkish drone power, or I would say second, if we consider Libya. Since then, Turkey's drone export is growing rapidly, and we know with whom Turkey have very good relations. In June 2020, Azerbaijan and Turkey reached an agreement before Nagorno-Karabakh incident to buy Turkish drone. Now, second example is Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan and Israel also have a long-standing military cooperation on numerous areas of defense industry. Israel is also Azerbaijan's largest weapon supplier with 4.85 billions in sale in dollar terms in 2016 alone. Now, Azerbaijan deployed combat drones from Turkey and Israel against Armenia. What UAVs provided Azerbaijan is with air superiority at a lesser cost. If we look at Armenian defense inventory, it consists of mostly Soviet or Russian-made surface-to-air missile systems such as long-range S-300, which is precursor to S-400, which we are buying, and medium-range Krug surface-to-air missile. These and there are several other, like Stella 10 is there, and Pantasir is there. The quantitative data about exact number of Armenian air defense system is not very clear. Now, Armenia and Azerbaijan share a 1,000 kilometer long border, this much. And the contact line between Nagorno-Karabakh contact line is 200 kilometer long. And there is one more region in that, opposite to that, which is Nakhchivan Autonomous Region in the southwest, this portion, which is a territory of Azerbaijan. So, sandwiched between these two geographies, Armenia, here it is, the Armenian SAM systems or air defense systems are spread over a long territory. It is unlikely that there were effective concentration of overlapping air defense batteries to create a credible air defense network. And without an overlapping SAM network, standalone air defense system will not be very effective and could become easy target for enemy drones. Now, Armenian air defense consists of Russian and Soviet era systems such as Strela 10, which is on the screen. And it is a mobile, visually aimed, optical infrared guided, low altitude, short range surface to air missile system, with a 5 kilometer maximum target range. The Armenian defense deployed Strela 10 missile systems during the conflict, and video released by Azerbaijani military showed that several Armenian Strela 10 and OSA-SAM surface-to-air missile systems were destroyed by Bayraktar TB2 armed drones. OSA-SAM, designed in 72, is not capable of identifying small combat drones due to small radar signature. With a range of 15 kilometers, OSA-SAM can be outranged by missiles carried by drones or by loitering munitions, which we have seen in case of Harop. Now, OSA is not capable of handling bidirectional threats effectively. Systems such as S-300, older version of S-4, are expensive against cheap drones, as each S-300 missile costs over $1 million. And engaging drones with S-300 will also expose the location of its surveillance radar. In such scenario, adversary can use drone swarms or kamikaze drones to destroy air defense like S-300, Strela 10, OSA-SAM prior to launching conventional manned air operation. So, if you don't have effective air defense or limited air defense, drones will come and destroy whatever is there, and then the job of conventional air power will be much easier. Now, Armenia also acquired Russian Pantasir S anti-aircraft missile. This is a photograph of S-300 and this is Pantasir S. Technically, this system is capable of handling UAVs. However, Pantasir S systems were also destroyed by Azerbaijani forces. The Pantasir S is equipped with 12 missiles and two 30 cannons. These are the Pantasir missiles, and these two are the cannons which can fire or which can tackle drones effectively. Such system, Pantasir S can engage 4 targets simultaneously. It has 2-stage missile with radio command guidance and 20 kg blast fragmentation warhead. Now, variation of these were used and can engage drone with the maximum range of up to 20 kilometers at an altitude of 10 kilometers. It can also engage subsonic cruise missiles at a range of around 12 kilometers and altitude of 6 kilometers. At perpendicular targets, the system's orientation and missile engagement range get reduced to half, and its engagement range becomes 1.5 kilometer. If we use the gun of Pantasir S1, airborne targets can be engaged at 4 kilometers at a maximum altitude of 3 kilometers. Each gun can fire up to 40 rounds per second and has a 40 rounds per, and has a capability to attack ground targets. Now, Pantasir is designed to deal with drones. It has cannons that can cost effectively deal with cheap drones, and it can intercept suicide drones as well. It also has a fairly cheap missile, I would say relatively cheap missile, because drones can cost $5 million, which can combat small and medium-sized drones from a decent distance. However, Pantasir systems were successfully destroyed both in Syria and Nagorno-Karabakh. And also there was an incident in between Israel and Syria where advanced jamming systems of Israel were able to compromise Pantasir systems, which cost around $14 million. Now, Russia understand that its air defense system did not detect low speeds target, and Russia investing in upgrading its air defense system to tackle this new challenge. However, the bottleneck is the cost. To eliminate enemy drones against the replacement cost of that drone for the enemy. Now, let's say I have a offensive drone capability and it cost me $3 million, for example. But with that $3 million, if I can take down system which is $15 million worth, and I can replace my drone, let's say with again $3 million, so I would be at an advantage point. Now, drones with the lower replacement cost will significantly reduce the deterrence of air defense system. And that's the weak link. While the standalone price of Bayraktar is around 300 million, 23 Pantasir systems were destroyed in Libya and Syria combined. Now we can all calculate. In Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia also lost 2 S-300 air defense system, which is a costly affair. In total, Armenia lost 18 air defense systems worth $485 million. Furthermore, loss of combat vehicles, tanks, radars, howitzers, multiple rocket launching systems, and electronic warfare systems destroyed could go approximately in 500 million for Azerbaijan. Now, if we look at this, 500 million cost, it's a big deal. And what Turkey lost, it lost 2 Bayraktar drones in Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict, and that is worth 6 million. Now, Azerbaijan destroyed 7 S-300 transporters, erectors, launchers, 2 guidance systems, and 1 radar. These strikes further illustrates that vulnerability of advanced air defense system is there. Turkish-made TB2 Bayraktar in particular demonstrated the versatility of UAV platforms. The TB2 likewise performed well in targeting and destroying enemy defenses In addition to providing identification and targeting data, TB2s also carried smart micro-guided munitions to kill targets on their own. Azerbaijan has also used high-definition cameras in the TB2s to carry propaganda videos and to make propaganda's videos later on. Now, this is the spectrum. So, what does unmanned system is offering? The best part about UAV is that it is unmanned. The moment you put man in or a human in the machine, the system loses its design and operational flexibility. Furthermore, unmanned systems are best suitable for long endurance mission with heavily defended targets that are riskier for manned mission. Countries with lower defense spending now can enhance air power by spending more on drones instead of costly manned combat aircraft. As technology is improving, low-cost drones will storm the skies as well as the seas. With sizable numbers, small and medium combat UAVs are cost-effective boost to countries' air capabilities. On the tactical front, with limited escalation. Self-reliance in manufacturing low-cost, fast replaceable drones, like the way we manufacture ammunition, is the need of the hour for effectively utilizing power of drone strikes. The UAVs are capable of providing real-time operational intelligence with dual ability to engage the enemy on target in the battlefield for a long duration without being detected. That's the advantage. UAVs with loitering ability can provide immediate firepower whenever is needed in remote and unreachable areas. Now, drones are best suited for anti-access area denial environment. They can undetected reach targets without jeopardizing human lives. Unmanned systems have critical component of network warfare. Now, drone swarm tactics makes it possible to detect and destroy enemy air defense system, cost effectively and efficiently. Countermeasures are needed to counter the threat of drone attacks from nation state as well as terrorist groups. Now, when we talk about terrorist groups and nation state, there is a difference of what kind of firepower they will offer. Terrorists will not be able to deploy military drones which are available with other nation state, but they can modify drones which are available. Now, drones have a detrimental effect on psychology of a soldier, as they are unaware of direction of the next attack. The Nagorno-Karabakh incident showed that soldiers didn't feel secure in their safe zones as well, with drones loitering in the sky. That's another detrimental side or psychological effect, and this can reach to civil society, as in case of Armenia. And here is the point where case of Armenia and case of India may not be different, with social media and all kind of psychological apparatus to influence society which are available at this time. Now, drones are able to achieve tangible result without risking the risk of human engagement. It is advantageous that future warfare will be will have limited human losses, allowing machines to perform missions that would have involved troops or human pilots. The advantage will provide major impetus for coming revolution in remote warfare, where humans will be sitting in a remote area and operating these systems. Now, drones may not be completely replaceable. We will not be able to replace drones completely as compared to manned strike force in very future. Perhaps combination of manned and unmanned system in a close coordination could be a key to superior hard power projection capabilities, not just in the sky, but also on land and ocean and under ocean as well. And that's the point. Because if we look at China is developing systems which can operate under the sea. These are autonomous systems which can operate and be deployed under the sea as well. Now, that's the situation. Let's look at what drone technology offers and its limitations also, because we have been talking about drones are very important and crucial and a big threat, but we need to understand what their limitations are. Drones surely offer wide-ranging capabilities, including stealth at a much lower price. It is not that they are invincible machines. Maybe kinetic air defense systems are relatively costly countermeasures against small and medium drones. The weak link among these advanced drones or system could be its remote connectivity and electronic suites, as in case of American RQ-170 Sentinel drone which was lost over Iranian space and captured by Iran. Hacking is a critical threat to remote controlled unmanned military system, as there is no human operator on board for manual control of the aircraft. Nation states and even terrorist groups can spoof and manipulate signals to take control of the drones and eventually reverse engineer its technology. That is a real possibility from which users to learn to protect their drones. Now, relative cost of UAV has allowed smaller nations and even terrorist groups to develop offensive drone capabilities to a varying degree. For countries, low cost translate into lower risk of operational loss as well as cost compared to expensive manned aircrafts. Countries that could have been able to afford a couple of modern costly jets can easily augment air power with unmanned aerial vehicles. Also, higher number can change the outcome of the operation, as we have seen in Nagorno-Karabakh. Deployment of drones is making air power more rewarding for its user and riskier for defending sides. UAVs are becoming dilemma for air defense systems, not just at the front line, but also at critical civilian, military, and strategic infrastructures such as airports, oil refineries, and cheaply made drones can jeopardize a billion-dollar system in a minute. In 2017, Saudi Arabia launched $2 million Patriot missile, surface-to-air missile, to protect its oil installation against a crude drone, which would have cost only $15,000. A 2 million sophisticated countermeasure against 15,000 drone is a very costly affair. Apart from that, financial losses due to drone attacks were in millions per day for Saudi Arabia. Furthermore, the attack on Saudi oil facility poses a big question about the accuracy and of advanced air defense systems against drones and drone swarms and loitering ammunitions. Drones and drone swarms put a question mark on the utility and cost effectiveness of conventional air defense system, which we need to think of. With great cost disadvantage against economically and militarily stronger defenders, terrorist groups, as well as nations could effectively utilize drones to overwhelm or even evade air defense systems. It could be too risky to deny the possibility of an extremely impactful terrorist attack in the future with the use of drones, even small one. Using such attack can have psychological impact similar to 9/11 in New York or 26/11 in Mumbai. As of now, strong air power was, or offensive or defensive, was a function of might and technological superiority of that country or a nation state. With drones, that equation is changing. With drones, even small terror groups can possess crude but damaging air power, and sophisticated systems may not be effective against these crude, dirty bombs. Dirty bombs or tactical nuclear weapons launched through crude small drones is a real threat. The terrorist attack via drone could have a devastating impact that way. And this is not the first. There is a history to this, what I'm saying. That is, there was a try by a person in Japan to deploy a dirty bomb or just a nuclear material near the Prime Minister of Japan's home. So that is also a possibility. It was not a bomb, but it was a nuclear material. Now in 2004, started in 2004, Hezbollah first used drone to conduct recon missions and carry out explosives over the border into Israel. This use of drones by terrorist group in part of India and especially in Jammu and Kashmir is now a reality. Now let me give you some example, which is just 1 year back. Afghan intelligence chief Ahmad Zia in November last year said that Taliban was using commercial drones and rigging them with explosives His remark came month after Taliban dropped explosives from a weaponized drone inside the governor's compound in Kunduz region. The incident killed at least 4 people and wounded around 8 people. It was first known drone used by Taliban in Afghanistan. Since then, rigged drones have been reported in provinces like Baglan, Bal, Tia, Logar, and Fairab. Taliban used drone on January 15 to drop explosive inside a military base in Kunduz as well. Now, that blast wounded Afghan soldiers and damaged a military helicopter. Now, government banned drones over the presidential palace in Kabul. If we look at what happened in Jammu and Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir Air Base is a replication of this modus operandi perfected in Afghanistan by Taliban. As terrorist group, these terrorist groups understand psychological impact of drone attacks on people and their minds, and uncertainty and shock of drone strikes have a psychological impact. If we look at the situation with for recent terrorist attack, Jammu Air Base or Jammu Airport is just 15 kilometers away from the Pakistan border. So any enterprise drone can reach and return back after commencing its mission. So that's the possibility. Now, another factor is of hatred against, especially against United States in, for example, Pakistan's Waziristan area. As US withdraw its forces from Afghanistan, many of these elements are coming together. As a result, we will see more terrorist attacks executed via crude as well as sophisticated drones that will proliferate in the coming time through Belt and Road. And I would say offensive strategy is the best way to mount cost for adversary for terrorism, if we are talking about. And eliminating leadership is the highly effective way at disorganized terrorist groups. It is decapitation of terrorist organization. So when we are talking about eliminating terrorism or at least countering it, there are two factors. The terrorist leaders are important and their succession, or those who are going to succeed them, are the key people who need to be targeted using drone strikes, which have been done by America. And as situation is evolving, there will be a need for India also. Now, by targeting leaders, drones not only eliminated the fuel that terrorist leadership provide, but also disrupt strategic focus and operational focus. The drone's capability to collect intelligence and strike enemy create fear. And let me quote Osama bin Laden. He advised his followers not to travel around Waziristan except on cloudy days for fear of drone strikes. He also said that always have forest cover so that drones will not be able to identify terrorist groups or individuals involved in terrorism. With this constant aerial counterterrorism, United States really pounded Al-Qaeda operational capabilities and destroyed sponsors, insurgents, elements, leaders. And that was the game changer for Al-Qaeda. As a result, we have Taliban, but we don't see much of Al-Qaeda now. And now it is more decentralized and reliant on peripheral command than it was before. So these are the advantages that drones provide without risking human lives. Now, consider this. We have event of Abhinandan Vartaman. Has it been a drone strike, it would have been a different scenario. And our state would have been a different situation. So, my point is, as long as nations continue to eliminate leaders and maintain intelligence advantage, the threat of terrorism can be contained. The drone is in particular effective military instrument of counter-terrorism strategy because it offers recon capability as well as airstrike capability. If we combine drone power with human intelligence and other ground operations, terrorism can surely countered. Turkey, if we look at now, has emerged as the epicenter of drone warfare. Its focus on developing indigenous drones and indigenous defense industry has paid off well. And Turkey started long back around 2010 uh, for these drones. We need to learn few lessons from Turkey's defense industrialization. It did not try to develop every military technology. Its focus remained very much on drone technology to tackle its security challenges effectively and offer offensive power. It was a solution centric investment in defense technology that has been a game changer for Turkey, and it could be a game changer for any country that is looking for self reliance in defense. The growing exchange between Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Pakistan is also a point of concern for India. The Turkish drone industry is rapidly expanding with new orders from abroad, and in future, Pakistan can be a next buyer for Turkish drones and its experience in drone warfare. China is also providing Pakistan with almost 50 cheaper Winglong 2 drones, which are armed drones, and which have seen actions in Libya. Winglong drones were shot down in Libya. That's a different part. And let me give you an example. Shoulder launched Stinger missile changed the dynamics of war in Afghanistan in favor of Taliban against the all powerful Soviet forces. Similarly, drones are posing a potent danger against conventional superpower or superforce. We have invested heavily in massive systems. We are prepared for wars that may never happen. However, our weak spot is that we are not technologically there for small tactical battles. We have weapons of deterrence. We need to have technologically advanced weapons for small wars. That is for India. There are efforts to catch up on that front recently, but more needs to be done. The future of warfare may not be conventional or strategic per se. In all probability, future warfare would be unmanned and connected with the backbone of artificial intelligence and robotics in all three fundamental terrains of warfare, which is land, air, and ocean. So the discussion about unmanned aerial system will not be sufficient for India, as India faces complex threats in all three terrains over the vast geography, especially in Indian Ocean. In such scenario, developing aerial and maritime autonomous platform would be crucial. Evolving, I would say, nuclear-powered Arihant SSBN platform into an unarmed drone carrier will provide India with an agile offensive system without any range limitation, which will be needed in future as we look at our threat perception. Now, such unmanned nuclear-powered platform can eliminate constraints of manned aircraft carriers, which is the biggest obstacle or hurdle. Now, low-cost electronics countermeasures are key against drone offensive. And India has electronic industries which can deliver on that front. Also, there are solutions offered across the world. Now, when we look at drone capabilities, we need to have three types of capabilities to tackle drones. One is offensive capacity that should be acquired by state. Second is defensive capacity of state to effectively have air defense against what happened in Nagorno-Karabakh, for that matter. And it is crucial to augment air defense against swarm tactics on our front line in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. And it is crucial to plug these gaps. There should be entry denial capacity at strategic and valuable installations such as military sites, refineries, even sporting events, concerts. These are must in future as there is a threat of terrorist attack, and local law enforcement agencies should also have counter drones capacities in terms of electronic warfare. So the question is how to stop unmanned combat aerial vehicles and small drones. There are several technologies that are there, such as Doppler radar, inverse synthetic aperture radar. These counter drone platforms are designed to automatically detect, take over, and safely land unauthorized commercial drone in designated zone. That is possible. It's not 100% sure, but it's not 100%, I would say, effective. But these are the solutions which are available. Also, multi-layered approach based on radar, radio frequency, infrared, electro-optical, acoustic, lasers, spoofing. These are all needed as a part of counter-terrorism strategy. And we should also be able to escalate the cost for the enemy. And it should not be a cakewalk for any adversary. Then that is the best of defense by using our offensive capabilities. Now, drones have certain limitations. In internal security situations such as jungle warfare and guerrilla warfare, drones will not be very effective due to heavy forest cover, one thing. And identifying enemy within the civilian population is a difficult job. And noise of any machine is easily recognizable in jungle and can be counterproductive in case of strong insurgent network across the forest. If we look at commercial aspects of unmanned systems, there are many opportunities. Unmanned systems offer dual utility, which is drones useful in war as well as commercial purposes. Commercial drones services are growing at around 55% compounded annual growth rate. Drones are becoming part of environmental monitoring, photography, journalism, agriculture, logistics, mining, even taxis. So this is a photograph of Cesari flying car developed by makers of Bayraktar TB2 drone, which is Baykar. Robotics, autonomous systems, AI have military utility. However, its commercial and industrial utilities goes into hundreds of billions. The development of defense industry in this sector will also spur modern commercial industry underpinned by these technology. The broad commercial utility of unmanned systems will reduce sole dependence on defense contracts for manufacturing, and drones and autonomous systems would be the next big thing after the internet revolution. It could be a low-hanging fruit for India, considering where India stands in terms of technology and software development. It can also use human resource which is available with India. Now, the next question is, should we ban drones or not? My answer is no, never. Let me tell you, if you want to showcase the beauty of Jammu and Kashmir, or Ladakh for that matter, there are no better instruments than drone. And this could boost tourism to a great extent. Now, this is a photograph taken by a drone of Himalayan region, Mount Everest, which is only possible with drones. Imagine India's tourism industry benefiting from these technologies. It can offer tremendous benefit, and it can be another engine for India's economy. Now, this is the economic aspects of it. After 9/11, US did not stop flights. We don't need to accept terrorist attacks or which will happen in future and ban drones or ban other technologies which will be there. There have been news that drones have been banned in Jammu and Kashmir. My point is, we need to develop capacities or capabilities, I would say, to counter these challenges and not to ban those industry or commercial operations. Drones or any technology is not our enemy. We must embrace new technology at right time to enjoy its benefits. Drones, autonomous systems, unmanned systems will be the industry of the future. And in next 10 to probably 20 years, drones will be a commonplace, as common as smartphone, I would say. It's the next big thing after internet, with utility in defense, enterprise, consumer, HIDR operations, logistics, and everything. And as there is internet economy, there will be a drone economy. Because battery energy density reaching 500 watt hour per kg by 2030 is not a big target. Now, for too long, Luddite mindset has seeped into our system, and we need to get rid of this attitude to reach where we want to as a nation. And let me tell you a small incident to convey the point. What do I mean by our inhibition or our delay in accepting new technology, and what is the setback? I will conclude with this example. In 2006, Three Idiots was released. Sorry, 2009, I guess, if I'm not wrong. In 2006, a Chinese company started developing drones. In 2009, we made India. In India, there was a movie in which a student create a drone or a drone project, and that was discarded by a professor. That was the storyline. That at the same time, later on, that same Chinese company was testing its drones in Himalayan region for its endurance. We need to have ecosystem where innovation will be spurred, where innovation will not be obstructed by any sort of system, bureaucratic or governmental systems. And that is the only key to our security and our future. And India needs to consider these challenges and opportunities provided by these challenges in the evolution of warfare while investing in future deterrence systems. As the country faces tactical as well as strategic threats, countering these challenges will be paramount for India. And perhaps aerial, land-based, and amphibious autonomous systems are the key to future conflict in our vast geographical region. Thank you.
2017, I found drones selling for $800 in USA. I'm not happy that for your brilliant talk, we have a small number of participants this morning. I take recent drone attack on our country as national shame. My questions are, number one, why our country generally or always on defensive to attacks and in research? Number two, why our DNA or Gutti given by our mothers is not entrepreneurship. And number three, whatever government does or does not do, what common man, avid audience of Sangam talks can do for innovation in general and defensive innovation in particular, feeling government is always short of funds for research but has surplus funds for import. Thank you very much.
It's a complex question. Let me start by giving one example. In IIT Mumbai, there was a project to detect a robotic project to detect mines in Maoist infested areas in the jungles of Chhattisgarh. So this was a project developed by students of IIT. It took long time, and even now I don't know the current scenario, but in our system there is no effective way to engage with the government to showcase such innovations which are coming from civil society. It's not that we don't innovate as Indians. I would say many defense components or many defense systems have Indian components made by small Indian MSMEs, small Indian companies. From even chips are there which are manufactured, or advanced systems are there which are manufactured. Now, when they go to that, let's say Lockheed Martin, and become part of F-35, and when they come back as a F-35 system, it becomes very powerful, and it's a good marketing tactic for that company. But here the problem is we need to focus on our own defense industry, which and another problem is why I am focusing on drones. Second factor is what major defense manufacturers in the country has faced is that, let's say they get order for howitzers. So how long they are going to get that order, or how much will be the volume of that order from the government of India? So we need to identify dual use technologies which can be developed by private industries that can be employed in warfare as well as in civilian or commercial applications. And drone is one thing that can be a low hanging fruit in that sense. Plus, yes, just to take an example, recently government has improved the policy for drone use, and even for manufacturers they have improved it. More needs to be done, and our adaptability towards the technology needs to be improved rapidly. As I use the word Luddite, our inhibition, or it was a movement in UK, Luddite movement, which was driven by hatred towards new or emerging technologies, as people feared that it will take away their jobs. However, it has always been proven in the past that new technologies has created more jobs. So drones will not be different in that case. There, and as of now, artificial intelligence, for that matter, has not reached a stage where it can survive or it can operate without any human intervention, especially in a war environment where theater is extremely complex and it needs system which is controlled or which is operated to certain extent by man. So these are the possibilities. I would say government's approach has been over a period has changed. There has been proactive approach toward the private industry, but more needs to be done with three critical elements of defense development or industrial development. That is research, hardcore research in the universities, commercial entities or private sector implementing that into applied projects, and government should support these institutions. It's not always that if a foreign country or a foreign company or a foreign entity is selling that their product is great and we cannot match that product, it's not the right way. Another thing is now, uh, this is where the problem is. We have companies like Google, Microsoft, or several companies which have talent, which are Indian talent, and these companies are driven by Indian talent. No major companies are, I would not find any company that is not driven by Indian talent. So I always ask this question to myself also: why can't we have the similar ecosystem in India? If we have ecosystem to engage private sector and research entities, we could propel the nation economically as well as defense wise many folds. Plus, as far as defense is concerned, I would not say that, as I said earlier also, national security is not 100%. We cannot achieve 100% national security. It is always incremental and evolving topic. But at the same time, we need to have a focused approach and we need to pick those low hanging fruits like Turkey did with drones. That could be a game changer in my view. Otherwise, I would not say India is not at all prepared. This was the attack on Jammu Kashmir was an aberration, I would say. There are systems which can detect drones, so even small drones like by which the attack was done, which was in the range of around probably 25 kg size. So that is possible, but we need to consider this as a threat. I think that is the situation right now.
Thanks. It's a very nice talk. So I just have one query regarding the energy source of the drones, because these drones will need the batteries. And as India, you have pointed this thing that India is poor in the electronic industries. This is also poor in the battery industry, because we can't load the lead acid battery into the drones. So in that case, how do you think the feasibility of these things? Because these are the strategic technologies, and you can't depend on the resources on other countries to bring those things in India, and then you can make the technology. So if these two sectors, electronic and then battery manufacturing, is lagging in India, then how you think the feasibility of this technology for the army?
There are two aspects to it, I would say. One is military drones, which are powered by propellers or jet engines. That is a different game altogether. Now, second factor is commercial or enterprise drones, which are also useful. where battery is a critical factor. Now, there also to enhance endurance, just to give an example, let me see if I have a photograph of it. China has started developing, one Chinese company is there which has started developing gas engines for small drones to counter the problems of battery. Yes, battery is crucial factor, but there are other alternatives to enhance endurance of drones, even for small drones as well. Second thing is India made an agreement with Bolivia in around this was the country Prime Minister visited, I guess, few years back, to acquire huge stock of lithium. So there are developments going on in lithium battery development. So I guess, and also one more factor is private sector is also coming up with battery technologies. So there are certain progresses which have been made in batteries, especially lithium ion batteries or lithium related batteries. It will take probably few more years, I would say, to reach to the point, but that won't be an obstacle because yes, I agree that China is a major exporter of battery, but India has also started taking step in this direction. There are projects going on. This is all I have read in newspaper, and this is open source information. So there are progress, and there is a progress made on this, and you will see the result of it probably in the next 2 to 3 years.
Thanks. It's a nice view on that. But what about the designing the components of the drone inside the India, means the electronic components? Because even today we are not designing any chip system in India. So how do you think the controlling system development for that? If you can enlighten a little bit on that also, it will be good.
Let me tell you an example that would better, we will be able to correlate with that. Turkey developed drones which are based on chips and electronics imported from outside. And once Turkey's some government executive said that we are able to develop these technologies because we are able to import these elements. So point is, at this moment, yes, I agree that our electronics or especially chip manufacturing sector or hardcore electronic sector is not up to the mark, but that will not stop development in drones. However, there is a need to improve on that front as well, to have electronic industry, and there are few companies which are in the manufacturing of chips also, but they are not that effective or not that I would say power. They are not powerhouse of manufacturing electronics chips or components for that matter. So yes, there is a long way to go, but we can import and we can get we can have this model of I would say three things, three-step approach. If we can make it in India with all components, that is fine. Otherwise, we should develop capabilities to make it. Or third, if we need it immediately, we will procure it. Procurement in terms of components that through which we can design our own systems. So that should be the approach according to my view. Yes, government needs to focus on electronics manufacturing as a base industry. That is true.
Actually, this my view is.
Are you in electronic sector?
No, basically I'm in the battery scientist. So.
Oh, great.
So bit interest toward the devices, and once I got an option for this one industry, aviation industry, they are especially looking for the drones, especially for the battery in Europe. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that this industry, which I think like countries like India, like we have lots of we are lagging in the toy industry also, And these two systems, battery and small chips for these automated toys and all those, if government can promote these two systems, it could lead to a bigger technology also, because those smaller country which was supported today can be the big player in the future for the
Right.
drone designing and self-dependence of the country. That's my view. Means
Absolutely right. We need to look at Taiwan model as well in this regard, especially because many countries, including US, manufactures imports from Taiwan. Even China is to certain extent dependent on them. So if we have this industry, that would be a game changer, and I don't think any future component will be without these systems. Second, one more query I have. How is the performance of lithium batteries in extreme cold weather? Do they perform?
Actually, there are two systems for the lithium ion batteries. You can jacket the system, like if you have a battery pack, and you can jacket it with the thermal insulating things. So you can work in any environment. But the second thing is that if we take the present technology, so it can't work less than -5 degrees, because that's a limitation. Already if you go down to the temperature, your capacity will get compromised. So your lithium ion battery will behave like a lead acid battery. But with the solid electrolyte and all those systems are coming, so with that one it could play a bigger role. Actually, the thing is that there are lots of development toward the material and the battery management system. So both way we can go in various temperature range, higher and lower both way.
Currently, battery capacity is at 350, right?
If you are taking
300?
the lithium ion battery pure, so it's 250 megawatt, 250 kilowatt hour.
Okay.
And then there are some possible technologies with the sulfur things. So there you can increase the energy density.
Okay.
But present commercial lithium ion is ranging between 250 to 300 highest.
Any Indian company that manufacture? There are, I guess there must be several companies who are in hardcore manufacturing.
It still means they are the small manufacturer, and we need to have some big players like gigawatt factory kind of things. So recently the Reliance has announced, then Tata is looking, and then some other factors are there. But the thing is that what is happening on the ground, that is a most important thing.
Because there is a gap.
Yes. So we need to speed up the things.
Right.
Like as you mentioned about the acquiring the lithium mines, government is also find 2 mines in India, but it's just some thousand of the kilos in Karnataka and then some in Meghalaya. So we need to look for more lithium sources, because at the present time the lithium is acquired by only 3 major companies: the China, Japan, and then US. So we have to be in that race. Otherwise, we have to go to the alternate technology except to the lithium.
Right. But currently, lithium and rare earth minerals both are critical for India.
Yeah, even if you see the copper plant is closed in Chennai, so that is also an important component for the battery development.
That is important for everything.
Even the electronic. All the electronic industry depends on the copper.
We need to find a solution, in between solutions to these problems, because banning or stopping the industry from production is not a solution. We will not reach anywhere.
Exactly.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
My question to Mr. Gopal ji is कि आने वाले समय में जबकि ड्रोन ही मेन वारफेयर का माध्यम बनेगा, तो उस कंडीशन में भारत में जो आर्मी है, ये लैंड फोर्स है, एयर फोर्स है या नेवी है, उसमें कितनी हद तक कटौती हो सकती है या उसका स्वरूप क्या होगा? एक तो ये बात हुआ, और दूसरा वारफेयर के तौर पर तो हमने इनका बात सुना है, फिर हम आगे स्टडी करेंगे। हम जो अपना एग्रीकल्चर में या डेली लाइफ में भी अगर थोड़ा मतलब क्या इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, अगर इस पर भी गोपाल जी थोड़ा प्रकाश डालते हैं।
पहली चीज जो आपने कहा कि क्या इसकी वजह से फोर्स स्ट्रक्चर पूरी तरह से बदल जाएगा क्या? सो देयर आर फ्यू पॉसिबिलिटीज। अभी जो सिचुएशन है उसमें ड्रोन्स और अनमैन्ड सिस्टम्स are not capable enough to fly on their own, or they can fly but operate on their own is not possible. तो अभी भी मैन एंड द मशीन का कॉम्बिनेशन है। सिर्फ अभी इशू ये हुआ है कि जो ह्यूमन एलिमेंट है वो कॉकपिट से निकलकर कैबिन में आ गया है। या फिर जो ऑपरेशन सेंटर है वहां पे आ गए हैं। तो उसकी वजह से लाइफ जो है ऑपरेटर की, ह्यूमन ऑपरेटर की, वो एक तो प्रोटेक्ट हो रही है, वो एक सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज है। दूसरी चीज, इन फ्यूचर ऑल्सो ये जो कॉम्बिनेशन है ये मैन एंड मशीन का होगा। इट वोंट बी 100% machine combination. At least for few decades, don't see that change happening. So as of now, I don't see any cut in defense forces also. So that is
my
one
question. हाँ जी जी, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। my question is ये अभी जैसे कि लैंड फोर्स में, आर्मी में 13 लाख लोग हैं, एयरफोर्स में 1,40,000 या 1.5 लाख लोग हैं, उससे कम नेवी में है। तो माना कि 13 लाख को तो कट किया ना जा सकता, 3 लाख हो जाएगा, 4 लाख हो जाएगा, बिल्कुल। तब मैंने ड्रोन ऑपरेटर्स मतलब ज्यादा रिक्वायर होंगे, या उस तरह के कैपेबिलिटी के लोग ज्यादा रिक्वायर होंगे।
सो पॉइंट इज कि इसके वजह से, बिकॉज हमें दो चीजें देखनी पड़ेगी। वन इज कि हमारी जो कैपेसिटी एंड कैपेबिलिटी है एज अ नेशन स्टेट is also growing. Our areas of interest are also widening. आज हमारे पास ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं है कि अमेरिका जैसा that there is a Atlantic command or there is a Pacific command or there is a Indo-Pacific command. We have Indian Navy in a blanket size. But in future we will need this system. So in future we will need more manpower as also along with technology. Because हमारा environment ऐसा नहीं है which will allow us to reduce manpower. We will need it. Yes, but जो supporting role है that could be reduced. But overall, I don't see any manpower cutting in terms of soldiers or in terms of our fighting strength. It will be only augmented. इसमें improvement ही होने वाली है। और दूसरा क्वेश्चन, हाँ
नहीं, उसके बाद है कि मतलब हम लोग डेली लाइफ में भी अगर कैसे इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, अगर इस पर भी थोड़ा लाइट शेड करते हैं आप कि हाउ कैन वी यूज इट इन एग्रीकल्चर, इन डेली लाइफ एक्टिविटीज, और हाउ कैन ड्रोन हेल्प अस इन अदर डेली लाइफ rather than only in warfare. How can it help? How can it will help us in our daily life?
एक तो डेली लाइफ का अगर एग्रीकल्चर का एग्जाम्पल अगर दिया जाए, अगर हम हमारे यहाँ पे जो मेजर इशू है, जो लैंड बैंक्स है वो छोटी है, वो सबसे बड़ा मेजर प्रॉब्लम है टू गेट मैक्सिमम यील्ड। अब अगर हम कोऑपरेटिव फार्मिंग की बात करते हैं और उसमें अगर हम ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी डिप्लॉय करते हैं, जैसे ये है, बहुत सारे एप्लीकेशंस है ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी के एग्रीकल्चर में। आप जो इंसेक्टिसाइड स्प्रे करना है उसके लिए भी यूज कर सकते हैं। पहले ऐसा होता था कि अमेरिका में ये सारी चीजें यूज होती थी विथ मैन्ड मशीन, मैन्ड प्लेन, क्योंकि वहां पे उस तरह के ह्यूज लैंड बैंक्स है, एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड बैंक्स, तो वो एम्प्लॉय कर पाते थे। इसलिए अमेरिकन एग्रीकल्चर इंडस्ट्री जो है वो इतना आगे बढ़ पाया। सिमिलरली अगर हम यहाँ पे भी एक कोऑपरेटिव मॉडल अडॉप्ट करते हैं जिससे लैंड बैंक बन जाता है और फिर उसके बाद में हम अगर ड्रोन्स को डिप्लॉय करते हैं फॉर मॉनिटरिंग, फॉर स्प्रेइंग इंसेक्टिसाइड्स, तो ये सारी चीजें भी की जा सकती है। और आपको अगर ड्रोन एम्प्लॉय करना है तो उसके लिए आपको कुछ ज्यादा बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीजों की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर आपके पास मोबाइल है और आपने ड्रोन खरीद लिया, सो यू आर गुड इनफ विद दैट। साइमल्टेनियसली बाकी सेक्टर्स तो है ही, बहुत सारी कंपनीज है जो डिलीवरीज जो है, होम डिलीवरीज, वो भी ड्रोन से करने का उन्होंने जो प्रोसेस है वो तो 2012 में ही शुरू कर दी थी। अब एज ऑफ नाउ दे आर स्टार्टिंग टू डिप्लॉय दैट थिंग। प्लस कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर में और कंस्ट्रक्शन मॉनिटरिंग और लैंड मॉनिटरिंग, इनमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट, क्रुशियल रोल ड्रोन प्ले कर सकते हैं। तो ऑलमोस्ट हर एक इंडस्ट्री में इंक्लूडिंग लॉजिस्टिक्स ड्रोन्स का रोल है।
जैसे कि कासिम सुलेमानी की हत्या की गई और कासिम सुलेमानी की हत्या में जैसे कोई भी फोर्स का इस्तेमाल नहीं हुआ, कि जैसे अभी 13 लाख लैंड फोर्स है, तो कल के डेट में अगर हम पूरा ड्रोन का जब वारफेयर शुरू हो जाएगा, पूरे ड्रोन का इस्तेमाल जितना तेजी में बढ़ रहा है, हमने देखा जम्मू में देखा है, नगरनो करावाक वाले लड़ाई में देखा है, कासिम सुलेमानी में, या फिर अन्य जगहों पर जो मैंने देखा, हम लोगों ने देखा है, तो क्या आपको लगता है कि फिर भी 13 लाख फोर्स की जरूरत होगी, या उसमें 3-4 लाख ही मतलब ऑपरेटर्स रहेंगे, जाके अटैक करेंगे, या फिर एक करेगा? तो थोड़ा सा कृपया करके मुझे थोड़ा और लाइट सेट करे कि जैसे कासिम सुलेमानी में एक भी आदमी नहीं इस्तेमाल हुआ, केवल ड्रोन जाके काम करके चला आया। और भी जैसे यहाँ पर जो अटैक हुआ था यहाँ मतलब सऊदी अरेबिया में जो अरामको या किस पर अटैक हुआ था, वहां भी कोई आर्मी की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, केवल जाके अपना काम करके चला आया। तो कहने का अर्थ है कि इस तरह का अगर देखा जाए तो फिर हम तो देख रहे हैं कि मतलब आर्मी की जरूरत मतलब सोल्जर की जरूरत मिनिमम है और मैक्सिमम मतलब जरूरत है ड्रोन की और उसको ऑपरेटर्स की। तो ऑपरेटर्स तो इतनी ज्यादा जरूरत होगी नहीं कि मतलब 13-14 लाख जो आर्मी पर्सनल है उतने ऑपरेटर्स की जरूरत कैसे पड़ेगी? कृपया करके थोड़ा सा आप डिटेल में बताएं, आई एम हाईली इंटरेस्टेड।
दो तीन इसमें फैक्टर्स है कि ड्रोन्स बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्टिव तब हो जाते हैं जब आप आर्टिलरी या जो ग्राउंड फोर्स है उसके साथ उसे कंबाइन करते हैं, जो कन्वेंशनल वॉर फ्रंट है वहां पे। दूसरी चीज ये है कि आप किस तरह से डिसाइड करते हैं कि आपके पास कितना मैन पावर या कितना फाइटिंग फोर्स होना चाहिए। उसका जो पैरामीटर्स है वो एक तो आर्मी डिसाइड करती है थ्रेट परसेप्शन के हिसाब से। हम सिर्फ हमारे यहाँ पे थ्रेट ये तो नहीं है कि सिर्फ टेररिस्ट अटैक ही होंगे, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि सिर्फ ड्रोन से ही टेररिस्ट अटैक होंगे। ये हो सकता है, बट अगेन ऐसे भी फैक्टर्स है जहां पे कारगिल जैसी लड़ाई हो सकती है, बहुत सारे लद्दाख में भी लड़ाई हो सकती है जहां पे मशीन्स हर बार 100% रिलायबल नहीं है। उसलिए ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है। आज भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो जो ह्यूमन सोल्जर है उसकी वैल्यू उसको रिप्लेस मशीन नहीं कर सकती। दैट इज द पॉइंट। और आज भी ह्यूमन सोल्जर्स उतना ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। प्लस हमारी जिस तरह की थ्रेट परसेप्शन है, टू फ्रंट वॉर जिसे कहते हैं या फिर थ्री फ्रंट वॉर, ओशन, लेफ्ट और राइट, तो उस केस में हमें ह्यूमन रिसोर्स चाहिए। अगर चाइना के पास बहुत ज्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी है फिर भी चाइना ने पूरी तरह से उनकी आर्मी को घटाया नहीं है अभी तक। कोई भी कंट्री इस तरह का एक्शन अभी नहीं लेगा, बिकॉज ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी है ये अभी भी इवॉल्विंग स्टेज में है और इसे हम 100% इसके ऊपर रिलाय नहीं कर सकते। हाँ, इसके एडवांटेजेस है, बट हमें आज भी जो ह्यूमन माइंड का जो डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर है वो आज तक वेपन्स या फिर ऑटोनॉमस सिस्टम्स में अभी तक नहीं आया है। अगर आप वॉरफेयर की बात छोड़ देंगे, अभी भी जो हम जो ऑटोनॉमस कार्स देखते हैं उनमें भी वो 100% गारंटीड नहीं है। वेपन्स ये जो वॉरफेयर है ये तो बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स एनवायरनमेंट है, नॉट जस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिसीजन मेकिंग, इन टर्म्स ऑफ ज्योग्राफी ऑल्सो। और हमारा टेरेन जिस तरह का है वहां पे मशीन्स फेल हो सकती है, हमारे जो सोल्जर्स है वो कभी फेल नहीं हो सकते। ये हमारा एक्सपीरियंस है। तो इसलिए मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इन फ्यूचर अभी वो टाइम आया है। हाँ, ऐसा हो सकता है कि हमारे जो सोल्जर्स है उनकी कैपेसिटी, फाइटिंग स्ट्रेंथ को ऑगमेंट करने के लिए हम मशीन्स, मैकेनाइज्ड सिस्टम्स का यूज करें, जिससे उनका जो लोड है, आज सोल्जर्स को पिट्ठू उठाना पड़ता है, ठीक है, और पिट्ठू में कितना वेट वो कैरी कर सकते हैं उसका एक लिमिट है। अगर उनके साथ उस हर एक सोल्जर के साथ एक लोड कैरिंग लॉजिस्टिकल रोबोट है जो ऑटोनॉमस है, तो दैट रोबोट कैन बिकम अ फ्रेंड टू दैट सोल्जर। और ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, ये कोलैबोरेशन है और मशीन और इंसान का, मशीन और ह्यूमन सोल्जर का, और तभी ये बात सक्सेसफुल हो सकती है। जैसा अभी जो बात हुई थी कि बैटरीज जो है वो कोल्ड टेरेन में वर्क नहीं कर पाती है अभी भी ठीक से, ये टेक्निकल इश्यूज भी है। जहां पे आप सियाचिन में आप सोल्जर्स पे रिलाय करेंगे या फिर टेक्नोलॉजी पे रिलाय करेंगे। तो हमारे चैलेंजेस इतने बड़े हैं कि वो जो फाइटिंग पावर हमारा है वो रिक्वायर्ड है। अगर कोई भी सुपर पावर जो कंट्री सुपर पावर बनने का सोचता है या सोचता है, वो कंट्री अपना फाइटिंग स्ट्रेंथ कभी रिड्यूस नहीं करेगा, वो उसे ऑगमेंट ही करेगा, वो उसे बढ़ाएगा, मैकेनिकली हो या ह्यूमन रिसोर्स वाइज हो।
Gopal ji, thank you for a wonderful conversation. I wanted to look into the more on the defense side and find out, with our very long border with very hostile countries all around us, if we have to put some effective, defense mechanism against these drones, my sense is that the kind of, I mean, the volume which we are looking for and hence multiplied by the cost, we are looking at a very obnoxious number. I'm guessing that, but I would like to hear your thoughts about it.
I would say we can't, it's a huge border. We need to accept that. We need to defend and protect our installations, which are critical. Because any adversary will not attack empty land, for that matter, or will not deploy drone or did not deploy any grenade in the empty land. So they will always look at, as far as terrorism is concerned, they will always look at points where it will hurt India in terms of psychology, in terms of strength also. So that's why we have seen recently that attacks on our installation of air power and army power are increasing. So we need to, first priority should be, we need to focus on these strategic installations, which are also big in number, but we need to secure that. Second thing is, there are different technologies, visual technologies, I would say, monitoring systems, which we can have in border areas for monitoring. But again, considering the terrain and variety of terrain, human role is crucial there also. So that's the situation right now.
I mean, yeah, because you are right. I think it's the key installations which need to be protected, and that's where probably we have to deploy certain defense mechanisms.
Because I will give you an example. In bordering areas, usually we BSF tackles drone threat, and they capture sometimes small drones which are like which are used in marriages. So that's not a threat. I don't consider it as that. But major factor is area installations which are close to border, where drone with, let's say, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour endurance, small drones can get can get inside our side and can harm us. That's where we need to look at right now. Also, important installation is the key, including nuclear, and in even cricket match will be a key factor for terrorist attack in future.
So the thing is that, what are the developments in anti-drone defenses? That is the first one. And secondly, do you think it is advisable for India with its security environment to really allow drones in daily life because of the security concerns? And thirdly, what will it take to make our officials and IAS people more responsive to innovators? Thank you.
Let me begin by saying, with IAS question first, that there are certain changes, and plus it will take some time, because I don't think that we are lacking in terms of human resource or talent to manufacture these drones. Yes, there is a talent. We need, and again, as I previously said, that we need to utilize that talent. Otherwise, that talent will be used by somebody else in some other country. And this needs to be understood by IAS or our administrative system. Somewhere, as you said, how can we allow drones in the country? Now, again, if we think of banning it, why we did not have drone industry in India, another factor is because we don't have drone market in India for commercial drones, especially because buying drones, let's say before drone policy, was extremely difficult, and even now there are processes for which you need to follow. Recently, just a few days back, there are some modification in that processes. However, we cannot ban drone, and we should not ban drones. There should be allowed for commercial and enterprise and all the economic purposes. And at the same time, we must develop capability to counter the drones via. Now, your first question comes into play. As I said, there are three technologies which we can use. One is infrared. There are multiple technologies. One second. One thing is there are systems which have been developed in Israel, for example, which can counter small drones in a specified area and allow other drones to operate in that area. Only unidentified flying object will be stopped. So that technology is there. Also, technologies such as SAR, so inverse synthetic aperture radar, plus Doppler radars, these are the technologies which can help. Sound is something which we can use as an instrument to identify drones. That is also a possibility. And along with that, there are several other technologies which can be used. Just to give you an example, is infrared is there, then IR is there, then electro-optical technology is there, acoustics, as I said, and spoofing is also there. So as of now, there are technologies which can counter offensive drones or any drone for that matter. However, we need to deploy it correctly and deploy it with a multi-layered approach, I would say. Why multi-layered approach? Because so that any threat will not filter all the layers. And we need to have all these technologies in combination, especially at very, very strategic locations, so that we can counter all the offensive action by any terrorist groups. That is possible. The caveat only is that there is no guarantee that 100% attacks will be stopped. And even case is that even after 9/11, Americans did not stop all flights or all aviation activity. So similarly, we need to adopt drone as a new technology and utilize its economic and security benefits. Thank you.